The air was constantly filled with the smell of burning hair and burning flesh.
It's been more than 70 years since Werner Reich suffered the horrors of Nazi extermination camp Auschwitz, but the painful memories are still fresh.
And we heard the screaming of the people as they were driven towards the gas chambers.
At Brentwood High School on Long Island in March, the 89-year-old recounted his story of survival to 600 students.
I once got 15 strokes on my back. I thought I'll die. I've seen plenty of people dying on this. I slept next to a dead man for 3 days.
For over an hour, there wasn't a sound in the auditorium other than Werner's unwavering voice. You could hear a pin drop. It wasn't just because here's a man who's witnessed countless murders or because he has a number tattoo on his arm. The undeniable fact is, this may be their last and only chance to hear a first-hand account of the World War II atrocities.
Can I have a hug?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
12th grader Emily Restrepo was overwhelmed.
When you put a face on something that you've read about and something that you've seen so many times, you feel more personally connected to what they went through, because you don't only think that, yeah, it was something that happened in the history books. You think this happened to someone that could be my grandfather, could be my brother, my dad.
Werner's story, like those of countless other survivors, is a remarkable one, and he's beyond grateful that he can live to tell not only his tale, but also the stories of those victims who did not survive.
I saw people being shot. I saw people being beaten to pulp. I've seen people being beaten to death. To me, this means something. And when I compare myself to these people, life has been good to me. I'm alive.
Right after liberation at 17 years old, Werner weighed just 64 pounds and had lost the top half of all the toes on his right foot from an infection. He then managed to make his way first to Yugoslavia, then to England, and then to the U.S. He met his wife Eva, and they started a family here in New York. Werner eventually became an industrial engineer, a profession he held for over 40 years, but he took a long, hard road to get there.
I had no education, I had no skills, and I couldn't speak English. So I started working as a laborer, then as a machine tool fitter.
Eva, who passed away last year, was also a survivor whose story may be just as extraordinary. She was one of nearly 700 Jewish children rescued by British humanitarian Sir Nicholas Winton. It was an operation that's known today as the Kindertransport. Here's a picture of Eva and Winton reunited several years ago. Brentwood High student Javier Sanchez couldn't believe that he had the chance to hear these unimaginable accounts.
From 10 to 15 years from now, it's going to be something that people are going to wish they heard. I connected with the survivor himself. I didn't read about it, and I know that in the future they're going to be able to read about it, but it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be on the level of intimacy that you can achieve from listening to him.
Werner has been speaking in schools, churches, and synagogues for the past 20 years. He also just finished a rough draft of his biography titled When Good People Did Nothing. Beyond his personal story, he also spreads a message of preventing injustice of any kind to anyone.
Over the last year or so, a lot of public hate, dislike of minorities expressed by the public, and I don't want it to happen to them either.
Werner never let the number on his arm, A1828, define him, only shape him into a strong, passionate fighter.
How many of you will promise to help a friend without being asked? Let's see. Don't walk away when someone needs help, because now you know what happens when we don't take care of each other. Don't let it happen, and please keep your promise. Thank you very much.
After everything he's experienced, Werner doesn't feel any anger or hatred, only a strong will to keep the memories alive and prevent future persecutions against any group. My grandfather, Nat, who's 90 years old, is also an Auschwitz survivor whose entire family was killed in the war. I realize that I wouldn't be here today if not for his perseverance and strength to keep going. The motto my grandpa has always lived by is never forget your faith and never forget where you came from.